Hello and welcome back to the Jessica Pinelli podcast. As promised, we are going to do some form of angel card pull. You can see on YouTube, but I think I've used these before on the podcast. It's basically in such like a beautiful satin bag. I got this as a gift from one of my friends. I'm pretty sure she listens to the podcast. So thank you so much because I use these all of the time. I keep these, I'm just shuffling if that's what you can hear. I keep these on my desk. Yeah, and when I feel called to pull, it's not always like a morning routine or ritual. It's just sometimes I'm like sitting there and I just get this intuitive drop. So I want you to pick a number, one or two. Three, two, one. All right. Do you have your number? One or two? I am going to pick them out of the bag. All right, we've got my number one and we've got my number two. So my number one, your card, is decide. Don't wait for the universe to give you a sign. The universe is waiting for you to begin. Okay, intuitively, what I'm feeling right now is you've been stuck on a decision or you need to, come to some sort of conclusion. You keep going back and forth. Maybe you're seeking validation from other people. Now is the time to decide. And also remember, like, you know the best choice for you. Intuitively, you know the best choice. Just think about both choices, and there is always going to be one choice where you're kind of like, oh, I feel like I wouldn't like that or I'd regret that. Don't do that choice. Do the opposite one. So right now, as you're listening or after this podcast episode, sit down, get your journal out, get your phone notes out, whatever it is, and get out how you're feeling, but make a decision. Like, I love the last part. The universe is waiting for you to begin. You just got to start that action. Now, the second one is aspire. Aspire, create your dreams, write your story, live your destiny. So for me, straight away, what's popped into my head for this one is like, think big, go big. I think that if you have chosen number two, you are playing too small and you need to just expand yourself. Do something that's going to be really expansive for you. Do something that is just going to feel like you're elevating yourself and go for it. Go for it. That's what I'm getting with this. So my number one's make a decision. Number two's aspire, go for it, think big. Oh my God, I really miss doing this. I think I just forgot when I came back from Europe. So, anyway, let me know also if you love that I do this. I have a couple of different angel decks that I like to pull from and I use personally. Like, it's not just something that I pull out for the podcast, like, I use all of these. I have two that are always at my desk, one that's in my bedroom. Actually, one I've never used on the podcast because I don't use that often. It's like packed away somewhere. It's like special one, but maybe I'll bring that out for an episode. I am super excited because I have decided to start a new series. I think it's probably going to be like a 6-part series, CEO Monday Shit Business Series. I have had many conversations with a lot of you who run your own online businesses. Now, I just want to say this is going to apply if you don't have an online business and maybe like brick and mortar business. But I have been in business now nearly 5 years. I have been mentored by some of the best in the industry. And I just want to preface this by saying, like, I don't know everything. This isn't going to be like, I know it's a be all end all. I am a coach. This year I've really stepped into both being a mindset and a business mentor, and especially for early businesses. So between, your first year to your third or fourth year. And that's where my capacity, my capabilities are. And I have seen some amazing results with women that I've worked for specifically with business. But in saying that, the women that come and do a one-on-one container with me, whether that is my Reclaim mentorship, 6 or 12 mentorship, or my Voxer container, when we do business things, it is imperative that we also do the mindset work, that we also do the energetic work, that we also do the shadow work, the behind the scenes work. And this episode is inspired by that. So it's going to be about mindset and energetics, specifically when it comes to online business and running your business. And so right now, if you are running an online business, and let me just say, if you have been in business longer than me and you're listening to this, there are definitely going to be some takeaways. But I always say, come to your own conclusions when it comes to business. I'm just going to put it bluntly, I'm so fucking sick of seeing business coaches, specifically, even mindset coaches. This can apply to all type of online coaches who kind of sell their things as like the be all end all and it's like their way or the highway. I love for my clients to get really, really curious. I think I said this in my last episode, to get really, really curious about what they believe in and what they align in. And just because I make a suggestion, it doesn't mean that, okay, I have to do it because Jess has done it or she's saying that. It's like, no, get really, really curious. Why does this fit for you? And I think this is why I have gotten the most out of all of my one-on-one mentorships, not particularly any group coaching that I've done. Um, my one-on-one mentorships, because I am always questioning and I'm always getting curious. And I'm like, but why? Why am I choosing that? Why is this the right way? Why are you suggesting this? And I think that's a beautiful thing. So follow along for this series. I am unsure if it's going to be like every week. I'm gonna one of two episodes because I'm so proud of myself. First of all, releasing 2 episodes a week. Obviously, I had a break when it came to Europe, but I just remember like this time last year, a bit earlier, last year, actually, that's a lie. I had a break from the podcast and I was just not feeling aligned. And I lost my mojo with it. And I've just truly found my mojo recording 2 podcast episodes a week. I'm just loving it. I love this medium. I also, in saying that, I just want to say, if you have any podcast episode suggestions, you want me to hash out anything deeper, you want me to, bring a bit more to a certain topic I've already spoken about, please, please let me know. All of my listeners, slide into my DMs at Instagram at Jess Pinili. Here on YouTube, you can just write it in the comments. Again, you can come to my Instagram. I'm always so open to hear what you all want to listen to and what you all want to learn, and sharing my experience of life and business. Like I absolutely have just found my mojo again. And I think like with my new setup, with my new microphone, like, I'm feeling really good. Also feeling really energetic because I've got a cacao. Let me just take a sip of my cacao. I made a cacao this morning and I put cayenne pepper in it. Oh my God. If you drink cacao, try cayenne pepper, but probably don't. Like I like spicy stuff, but probably don't put as much as me. So I'm feeling awake. It's 6:40 a.m. I'm feeling energetic, and I've kind of had in the back of my mind to start this series. And today I was like, you know what? I want to record a second podcast episode. And I was like, just start that business series. So I've put down 6 different topics in relation to running your own business and being able to understand business. And this is something that I truly, when I first started and before I invested in my first coach, having these episodes that I'm going to release to you would have been so, so helpful. Now, don't get me wrong, I consume so much like free stuff. I listen to different podcasts. And then eventually, of course, I invested in my first coach. But that was more for like the mindset side of things, not so much a business coaching. But I think this is going to be really helpful for you if you have been in online business for a while. If maybe you're hitting a plateau, maybe things are thriving, maybe you're going so good. But I always believe in like taking on different perspectives and just seeing like, can you do things better? Because one thing that I've definitely learned in business is it's so expansive when you are able to switch things up, when you are able to do things differently because you feel invigorated. But today, specifically, the topic we're going to go through is mindset and energetics. And when I first was writing down my topics, I'm not going to tell you what the topics are, but just know this series is very business focused. So yes, we're going to be talking about content and sales and the admin side that is going to come. But I wanted to start with mindset and energetics. And I first had them as 2 separate entities because I was like, oh yeah, let me do 2 episodes. And I'm like, you know what? As I was thinking about both of them, I was like, they blend into one another. Now, even though I have 6 episodes written down, like drafted, there may be more. Who knows? Anyway, mindset and energetics. Why have I chosen this as my first? Every single podcast episode that I bring you into this series is going to be so important. But I really believe one thing that, look, everything that I'm sharing with you is learned, is feedback. It's coming from my successes and also coming from my failures. Nothing, and I just really, really want to reiterate, and I will keep reiterating in this series. Nothing I say you have to take and think as take as verbatim and be like, this is the only thing I can listen to. No, but I believe that everything that I have learned has happened in perfect divine timing, as I believe every single thing in my life does. And I think like using everything as feedback doesn't mean that sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I had a bit more knowledge of this. Yes, of course. But in grounding myself and neutralizing myself, I'm like, it's happened as it's meant to. It progresses as I've meant to, and I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. So, in saying everything, it's a learned behavior. And I want you to, this is going to be a good series if you're at capacity right now to get out your journal, to get out your phone notes, take a load of notes and action. I'll probably be saying this every single episode in this series is just take action, start somewhere, take one point. This is going to be what, a 20-30 minute podcast episode. Take one point at least, and like today when you listen to it, like how can you put this in action? So the mindset and energetics thing, I didn't focus on it enough in a business aspect when I first started. Again, like I said, don't regret that because I'm where I'm meant to be, perfect divine timing. But I truly, truly recommend to you that there are so many elements, and like I said, we're going to be speaking about sales and content and offers, but your mindset, your energy, the way you hold yourself, the way you were thinking about yourself, the way you were going into business is so important. Now, one big mindset shift that I really had to make, and this was probably in the last year and a half. I've been in business nearly 5 years now. And in the last year and a half, I made this shift of really switching on that this is a business, not a hobby. Now, for you all listening, you may think that is crazy because I've been in business nearly 5 years now. And it sounds kind of crazy to say. But when you first start an online business, and again, this can be whether you're a coach, whether you're doing e-commerce, like whatever, affiliate stuff, it doesn't matter what you're doing, but you need to, and I really didn't understand this, and this is why it took me so long. You need to switch your brain to being in that CEO mood, that CEO mode and mood, they both fit. And knowing that this is something that you are running and showing up for and being your own boss for day to day. It is not a hobby. And I think for the first couple of years, yes, of course, I took my business very seriously. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I feel very aligned right now. I want to be my own boss. But there was always the aspect of not treating it as seriously as this is my business. And I think over the past year and a half, when I really have made that shift, and there's no like secret framework or anything I'm going to give you that's like affirmations for it or journal prompt, because it was honestly just like having a hard conversation with myself and saying, you need to take this really serious. Like, this is your livelihood right now. And I'm going to be over this series, I'm going to be so raw and open and honest, but this is absolutely your livelihood. This is a way that you pay your bills. This is a way that you are funding your lifestyle. I love a fucking bougie lifestyle. And I'll say this, and this is actually something that we'll probably go a little bit deeper into, but something that I've had to come to terms with as well over just because of fear of judgment over the past year is like, I love a certain lifestyle. I love my life the way it is. And, I had to realize if you want that life, you need to take it seriously. You need to show up every single day. Pardon me. Let me take a drink of water because my cacao has definitely kicked in. And I'm like, I'm fucking ready to give you all, it might be more than 30 minutes. Okay, buckle in. But I really had to say to myself, why aren't you taking this seriously? Why aren't you looking at it like it is your livelihood? Like, this is the way you pay your bills, your rent. This is the way you afford your lifestyle. This is the way you are able to travel. This is the way you do all of these things. And that is a problem that I see. And this is why I've started with this point. That is a problem I have seen time and time again with not only women who just come and work with me, but women I have conversations with, women that I, just see online or I have followed, is like, I can tell if you're not taking your business seriously. Like I can look at your business profile, I can have a conversation with you, and I can tell you right now, I've been in this long enough, I've coached enough women on online business. I can tell you absolutely if you're not taking it seriously. And one of my clients who I first did a lot of business work with a couple of years ago, we had to have this hard conversation, and she was very reactive, very triggered, because no one wants to hear that. You decide that you're going to run a business, and you don't want to hear, oh, okay, so I'm not taking it seriously. What do you mean? Like I'm going all in. But when I had this conversation with this client, I was like, you aren't showing up every single day. You're doing the bare minimum. And so and we're not going to go obviously into the logistics of like how your day should run and what you should be doing, because that's in other episodes. This is purely mindset and energetics. But the first shift, and I've spent so long on this, is you need to switch from like, this is my livelihood. This is everything. And when over the past year and a half, I've truly made that shift, things have changed. I've practiced more discipline. I've practiced more focus, right? There is no good in putting in the work and showing up every single day if your mindset is still like half-assing it. If you're showing up every single day and you're like, oh, okay, like I've created a reel and I've shown up on my story. So now I'm going to go sunbake. Like I see this. This isn't an attack on anyone. I see this and I've lived it. I used to like quite literally make a post in the morning and maybe do one call. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go for a walk with a friend. This is when I lived in Perth. I'm going to go for a walk with a friend, and I'm out for 4 hours. And then I'd be so fucking stressed because my business wasn't where I wanted it to be. And when I started to make that shift, like you can't do that. You need to, I'm still in the early stages of a business, right? I was listening to an audiobook by Alex Hormozy. If you don't know who he is, go follow him. Hormozy is Hormozi. Amazing man, amazing book. It's called $100 million Leads. I'm halfway through, and I just love he's so blunt and to the point, right? And one of the things that he was saying is you need to show up in a way that you want your business to be. You need to show up in the way that you want your business to be. And I just wasn't doing that. And it's a mindset thing, because we think we can just do the bare minimum, and it's not that. I have worked so many 12 to 15-hour days. I'm not even kidding. And again, we know that I'm not all for the hustle life, but when you are starting a business, when you are creating something, sometimes that requires that time and energy. Even times now when I'm working on project, like I love working. And so I can sit here. Currently, my partner's away up on site looking at his project he's working on. He's an engineer. And because, no one's coming home to me, I'm not having dinner with anyone, I'm like, okay, I'm immersing myself in a lot of other things and working for hours. But it's a different mindset that it's coming from, right? It's not this lack and scarcity. And that's what happens with so many women is they do the bare minimum. It's like this dopamine hit. Like I'm going to make a reel or a TikTok or both. I'm going to, show up on my stories. I'm going to, speak to a few people in the DMs, and then that's it. I'm going to go for a coffee and I'm going to go for a walk, and I'm going to live this amazing lifestyle, make it look like on my Instagram I'm living this amazing lifestyle. And then I'm going to stress the fuck out when I'm going to bed and get scared and think like, is this for me? Your mindset needs to switch to, this is a business. This is my livelihood. I don't care if right now you are still at your full-time, part-time, casual job. You can't do the bare minimum. And this is the next mindset thing, is like, what is the bare minimum to you? In your early stages of business, you need to do more than that. You need to always do more. Again, this doesn't mean that you need to work 100 million hours a day. The mindset shift is, how can you instead do 3 hours of focused work, 3 to 5 hours of focused work per day? This is coming from someone like, I low key, this is another conversation. I low key believe that I have some form of ADHD, just by the way that I function. Some of my best friends have ADHD, some of my clients have ADHD. And I am very like scattered with what I do. It's really funny that I get anything done, because I'll start one project and my mind goes, no, start this, right? Anyway, that's a discussion for another day. you need to focus and discipline your work. The women that I mentor when it comes to online business will be doing the bare minimum. Again, showing up on their stories, posting a reel, posting a TikTok, maybe writing an email, and then they think that's it. That's not. That's not it. The mindset shift there has to be, what am I practicing focus and discipline on, and being able to do that. Now, in that, we need to have this sense of faith in ourselves. This is another big mindset shift, right? We're not here to promote toxic positivity where it's like everything's going to work out, like manifesting my dream life and doing all this. No, we're not encouraging that. What I am encouraging you to do, though, is have faith in yourself every single day, but being really, really honest with yourself about what you want to do. You can't just start an online business, whether you have started now, whether you're, listening to this and you're thinking about starting one in whatever element, you cannot start an online business and not be fully in alignment and love it. I have had so many breakdowns in the past nearly 5 years. So many, like I've got goosebumps speaking about this, and I'm like being so honest with you all. I've had breakdown, like quite literally to my partner 2 years ago. I remember this specific breakdown. It was November. We were back in Perth, and I was crying. So, that like ugly heaving crying, like your whole body is shaking. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can run this business. Now, what is the difference between someone who has that breakdown and between my mindset, right? That I'm trying to share with you is the faith and the emotional resilience and being in alignment with what you truly want to do. I fucking love my business. I love what I've created. I am so proud of myself, and I'm going to toot my own horn here. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of my clients. Every day I get messages from either one of my clients who speak to them Monday to Friday, or women that are in my group coaching or have been. I got a message maybe about 2 months ago, maybe when I was in Europe a couple months ago, and this woman had been in one of the first rounds of the Femme Club. This was like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and she's still getting results. She's still going over the modules. And we had a chat, and it was just like, oh my God, I honestly have goosebumps. And it was just one of the most beautiful things. And so I share this with you because you have to fully be in it. I can have these breakdowns, and my mind knows and my body knows that I'm fully in this, and to practice the emotional resilience. The people that give up, or the people that realize business isn't for them, you just haven't found something that you are truly in love with and aligned with. And trust me, you will know. I know it probably sucks to hear that answer, because you probably want some secret strategy or a secret framework or something to work out. No, honestly, like this is why I do the coaching I do. This is why I do a lot of conversations and workshops around purpose and alignment, because this is so important. But I can stick through it because I have the emotional resilience, I have the faith in myself, and I know this is something that I love to do, even when it's hard. If you are having a million bad days and you can't be fucked, like over and over and over again, that is not a business that you want to run, because that's not going to work in the long term. You need to be fully in it. You need to be fully in a line. Is it going to take a little while? Absolutely. I'm very fortunate that from being a personal trainer, I realized that I wanted to help women in such a different aspect than just the physical. I realized there was such an emotional and a mental side and a spiritual side. And I was like, how can I do more of this? And so you need to really be in it. That's the mindset there. You really need to be in what you want to do and what you want to create. You can't just I see people just starting businesses, again, coach, affiliate, like MLM, whatever it may be. You can't just do it because other people are doing it, or you're seeing other people getting results. You will never be in it for the long run. And this leads me to my next mindset shift is, you have to also think long term. This is something I didn't do for the longest time. This is still like new-ish to me, but you have to be in it for the long term. You can't just keep going for the short term wins and those goalposts where it's like, all right, let's live month by month. This is coming from someone that was living month by month for the longest time in a business. You can't, you have to see the bigger goal. And I don't mean like in 5 years' time, I'm going to be a multimillionaire. Yeah, you can have that goal. But I mean, like, what are you doing in today that is setting you up for the next 12 months' time? I see a lot of women in their businesses just operating in this sense where it's like, what am I doing today that is going to get me the results at the end of the month? And this is probably calling out a lot of you. But what are you doing? You need to switch that. Is like, what are you doing instead today that is going to set you up for 12 months' time? How are you projecting? How are you planning? How are you understanding what you're doing content wise, offer wise, sales wise, showing up wise that is going to bring you into the next 12 months, next 24 months, right? I like to have the projection of 12 months. You can do 6 months, but I like to have the 12 months. And I think this is something that is so overlooked is so many women want these quick wins. And again, I'm saying this from a place where this was me for the longest time, is I just wanted those quick wins. When I made my first 5-figure revenue, like profit in my bank account month, I was like, let's just do that again for the next month and the next month. It wasn't this long-term planning, right? And that's the thing, is you need to set yourself, like, if you're in this for the long term and if you're in this for the right reasons and it's truly aligned with you, and you're like, this is what I want to do, you need to be able to build the momentum for the long term and be able to show up every single day knowing that everything you're doing is for the long term. Now, another thing on mindset is you have to switch yourself into a place of, I am going to show up regardless. I'm going to show up regardless of, I'm having a bad day. I've had a fight with my partner. I'm doing this. Now, there's a balance between, okay, something dramatic has happened, or, whatever it may be, as opposed to like you're just being lazy. I totally understand that, but I can fully say to you that every single day in the past nearly 5 years, I've shown up regardless of what is happening in my personal life. Again, this links directly to the first point of like, this is my livelihood. This is who I get to be. The other day I finished client calls and I had been in Voxer all day, and I'd had so many expansive calls. Like, it was just so amazing. I was laying on the couch and I was like, holy fuck, like, I am quite like, I have not had a job since before like 2019. I quit my job. And I haven't had a job since then, like a boss, since 2019. I have been making my own money. I am my own boss. I have this freedom. And let me tell you, like, the things that I'm experiencing now, I couldn't have experienced, like the trip that we took to Europe, that I couldn't have done that in my first year of business. And it's not just a money thing. It's also like where I was at. You need to look at your priorities. Yeah, like I've traveled a bit over time, even during COVID when we were allowed to, before anyone comes at me. But you need to look at your priorities. And I was truly reflecting. I was like, holy shit, like I have created this. There is still so much that I want to do. I'm still a fairly new business, but I'm like, I've created this, and everything that I'm sharing with you today has honestly helped so much. So making sure that you are just, your mindset is in it every single day when you are showing up for yourself. Because if you're not showing up every single day, you are not going to get the results you desire. And this comes back to like 1% of messy inspired action, and my business like really encouraged and created this movement, because you won't. If you right now have been in business like between 1 to 3 years, and you are not progressing in the way that you thought you were not seeing the results that you thought you would. Again, this is all objective. This is why I work with people one-on-one when it comes to business, because I can't give you exact like, okay, if you're this type of coach, this is the result you're seeing. If you're doing affiliate stuff, this is no. Like, everything is subjective. And but when you're not seeing results, when you're half-assing it, when you're spinning your circles. I had a period of time, this is why I invested in my first coach. I had a period of time I was spinning my circles. I'm like, okay, like I showed up on my stories and I made a post and I've spoken in the DMs for 20 minutes. What do I do? If you're having these thoughts or if you're doing that bare minimum, again, it needs to switch. You need to think like the mindset shift there is like, what am I doing to create momentum and to see long-term results? And on top of that, what am I doing to create my version of success, right? One thing I really, really encourage you to do, if it's like the one action step from this podcast episode, I want you to ask yourself what your version of success is. I give this to all of my clients, all of my clients. So you're getting something that I quite literally teach my clients is like sit down, ground yourself, regulate yourself, and then ask yourself, what is my version of success? What is it? What does it look like? And I don't just want you to write down like money, like $1 million or this nice car. That can be a part of it. Like get all of that out of your system, write it all down. Like maybe it's a specific number, a car, an apartment. Yes, that's really, really important. But I want you just to like, what is success? Like for me, success, and this has been my tagline since I started, like connect with as many women as possible to help them reconnect with themselves. That is success. That is why when a client comes to me and she messages me or she tells me like I've got X results or I feel like this about myself or I've built this self-trust or I've seen this increase in my business, whatever it may be, I'm like, that that is it. That is exactly like that's my version of success. And so getting really particular in that and working towards it every single day, having it, I have quite literally that my version of success on my desk. And for you watching on YouTube, I'm like pointing over there at my desk. But I have that and I get really honest with myself. And when I'm like kind of just like if I have a day where I'm like, twiddling my thumbs, I don't know what to do. I look at that and I think what's going to drive that, what's going to create that. And obviously the rest of the episodes in this series is going to be like some practical things I'm going to give you, but this is the important things. Now, energetics, like getting your energy aligned, being at capacity to number one, run a business, being at a capacity to welcome in more wealth, being at a capacity to be able to align yourself to a business that you desire. Like if your energy is shit, you can do all this mindset work, but it's always about a feeling. Abraham Hicks, I'm sure you've all heard of Abraham Hicks, the law of attraction. If you haven't, go read, go listen on Audible, go look up on YouTube. But one of the most important things is you can do the action, you can think these thoughts, but if the feeling is not behind that, you will never progress. Like you won't, or you're going to revert back. And one feeling that I've always just held on to and really allowed myself to tap into energetically is a feeling of faith, is having this utmost faith in myself and what I'm doing, even when things aren't going in the way that I tried to predict, even when I was getting judged. When I first started my business in 2019, what I do was not a thing. People that were, speaking about this type of stuff and mindset and empowerment was like Mel Robbins, Tony Robbins, Oprah, Joe Rogan, like, podcast vibes. And it wasn't a thing. I had so many people were like, what? Like when I would introduce myself, I would get so nervous and like I would feel so weird. Now I don't. I'm probably like, I'm a mindset and business mentor. But back then, it was so weird for me because people are like, oh, you make money from that? Or like, what is that? What exactly do you do? And as times have progressed, this has become, yes, more accepted, but it's also like I had so much faith in myself. I still have so much faith in myself. And that is like one energy that if you can get behind, like and back yourself, and this requires self-trust. This is something that you need to work on your self-trust, because if you cannot back yourself in business, anything, any little thing is going to make you falter and not want to work from it, someone's judgment or a comparison out on the internet or whatever it may be, or someone making a comment. My friends banter to me all the time still, right? And I know that it's kind of like I've earned their respect. It's not that I was like working to earn it, but they've definitely seen what I've achieved and my success and the things. And it's again, it's not just monetary. It's like my friends see the behind the scenes of how hard I work, the discipline and the focus. but they still banter and they still make comments. But I have such faith. If I didn't have faith and self-trust and I exuded that energy, then yeah, I would falter. I would feel shit about myself. So energetically, you need to have faith in everything that you do, doing the energetic work of, yes, the subconscious reprogramming when it comes to money mindset, when it comes to the fear of success and all of that. Of course, I've done a series on the different fears, so I'm not going to dive too much in them. If you haven't seen this series, just scroll a little bit on the podcast and you will see I've done a 3-part series. But also, being the energy that you desire as a business owner and like the lifestyle that you truly want. And that's what I put out every single day. I wake up and I'm like, what's my version of success? I'm going to be a millionaire. Like, I feel it in my fucking bones. I have the faith in myself. And I think, like, what am I doing to show up as that? What am I doing? And this changes your energy. Like, how am I stepping into that? Do I always have days where I'm functioning like this millionaire and I'm showing? No, of course I don't. But to change your energy and to represent that, you really have to step into that and put behind it and have the faith. If you are doing this mindset work and then every day you're waking up and you're feeling shitty and you're low vibrational and you're not feeling good in your body, and I mean like energy, like overall, right? Like every type of form of like mental, emotional, spiritual energy, if it's not in alignment, you're not going to progress in the way that you want in your business. If you're not, again, an energetic shift is like, okay, this is my business. How am I showing up as a coach and a mentor? I show up, and you get a little bit of this on the podcast. I show up differently when I coach a mentor as opposed to when I'm having a chat with you in the DMs or when I'm on my stories. And that's not a bad thing. It's just like, what energy am I putting behind? Like, am I sure of myself? Am I backing myself? And when it comes to energetic practices, is yes, you can journal, you can do EFT tapping, you can do hypnotherapy, all of these types of things. And yes, I encourage them, and I'm not going to go into, there's nothing in particular that I'm like, that has been a game changer to me. But I think anything for you that truly shifts your energy into a vibrational state that is serving you and you feel it and you know it. One thing that I've always done is listen to binaural beats or sound bowl healing when I'm working, when, sometimes I'm just sitting there or like cleaning the house, is that just really helps me like ground myself, especially if I'm at my desk. And again, the ADHD is like kicking in, those tendencies are kicking in. I'm all over the place. I have a million tabs open. I'm doing a million things. And I'm just like, I'll put on some sound bowl here healing and I'll ground myself. And I think that is an energetic shift in itself, is like, how am I finding time to really ground myself and be present in my business? There have been many, many times where I have not been present in my business. I have not, yeah, just really like enjoyed it when I made my first 5 figures like into my bank account. I remember that month, like I didn't even really acknowledge it. And it's not something that I regret whatsoever, but it's also something like I wasn't grounded. I was all over the place. And yes, I was doing the things that got me to that place, but it's also so nice to just like take a breath and be present. And if you're always living for the future, don't get this confused with like the long-term planning, right? You have to be present. You can't every single day be like, I can't wait till, I'm a millionaire, or I make 10K or $1,000, or I, sign 10 clients. You can have the long-term goal of like, this is what I see sustainable. And again, when we go into systems and practices and all of that in the further episodes, we'll touch on this. Yes, you can have those long-term visions and goals, but you can't be like every single day in it. You need to enjoy the process. You need to show up and be grateful. Have the energy. Have so much the energy of gratitude, but over the past year, the energy of appreciation for what I do. But just kind of like circling back, whatever you can do every single day, not just like one day a week or like every other day, but whatever you can do to really energetically show up in the vibration that is going to serve you the most, you need to do it. And however you get like that, whether it's journaling, whether it's, cacao or microdosing mushrooms, whether it is EFT tapping or hypnotherapy, regular therapy sessions, whatever it may be, find that thing to ground you, find that thing that helps with your vibration and do it every single day. Make sure that you're doing what you can to get off stagnant energy. You've had a bad day in business. If I go back to that 20, when was it? 2020 or was it 2021? I think it was 2021 when I had that breakdown to my partner and I was like ugly, shaking and crying and convulsing and all of that stuff. Like that was a really, really tough day for me. It was a really, really tough couple of weeks for me. And I just felt like everything was doing just wasn't going in the way that I really anticipated. And I had to decide in that moment that I can be sad. And this is what a lot of people do. They're like, I'm going to be down for the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months. I had that breakdown, even though I had been low vibrational, probably for a week or 2 weeks. I had that breakdown. I cried it the fuck out. And then I had a good meal and I had a good sleep and I regulated myself. My partner helped me regulate it. And then the next day I was like, okay, I know who the fuck I am. I know I desire this business. I desire the results. So what am I doing? And that is an energetic shift in itself. I see so many women who will be so sad because I didn't make that sale, or, the end of the month isn't the best for them. And then they'll carry that vibration every single day, every single week, every single month. And they then wonder why 3 months later they're still getting the same results. No, you need to get the fuck up and change your energy. Do anything, dance around, go to a gym class, Pilates, like everything that I've already mentioned. You need to do that and change it quickly. And that has been a game changer for me. Have your sad time, 20 minutes, 2 hours, whatever it is, the day. Take the day if you really truly need to, but then show the fuck up. Don't bring that on. And that is one of the biggest energetic shifts that, I haven't heard anyone speak about. People will say the specific things they do or ways to raise their energetic vibrations. And I have plenty of podcast episodes on all of this for you. But what I will say here is you need to switch up your energy very, very quickly, very quickly. And that has been one of the biggest things that has shifted me and allowed me to progress in this business. Is I'm like, okay, that was a shit fucking day or a shit fucking week. What am I doing now? Yeah, does it still hurt sometimes? Yeah, does it pop into your mind? But this is about neutralizing, right? And this could be a whole other topic, but neutralizing. And this will probably be something I speak about when we talk about money and sales and things like that, is neutralizing your being, but making that shift. Now, I know I have spoken so much, and I hope that you have gotten something when it comes to mindset and energetics of business. Remember that you really need to start at mindset and energetics. You can have all of the good intentions, you can have all of the good offers or content that you want to put out there, or creation and whatever it may be, all of the like logistical stuff when it comes to business that we are going to get into. But I really wanted to start with mindset and energetics, because if you are not priming yourself for the success that you desire, and then you go into business and you're doing that every single day, and maybe you're listening now and maybe you're like 2 years in business and you're like, fuck, like it's not progressing in the way that I want it to. Start here. And there've been many times where I've had to strip back and start again at the foundational things, which is mindset and energetics. And I've had to strip it all back and start again and build my way up. And it's exhausting because it's like, oh, I've done all this stuff and now I have to start from ground zero. Do it, because it's so, again, this is long-term thinking. This is the last thing that I'll add. This is long-term thinking. Sometimes you have to strip it right back and it feels like you're a beginner and you're starting all over again, but it will build you up for the long term rather than pushing, 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 pushing. This is why so many fucking women I see are dysregulated as fuck. Who come to me or have been to other business coaches that's like, put in this strategy, do this framework, show up in your story. No, let's fucking strip it back. Let's work on the foundation. Let's work on our subconscious reprogramming. Let's work on our regulation piece. Let's do all of that. That is key. So if you have like hired a form of business coach and they're like, yeah, the strategies work and all that, but if you don't have this to back you up, it's not going to work long term. Start on this. I promise you, no matter where you're at, again, you can be 10 years in business and you're listening to this, and strip it back. Always do like, what's the word I'm looking for? An assessment. like a reflection and assessment on where you currently are in business. I like to do one every quarter specifically. Like I kind of reflect every week, but like specifically every quarter, I look and I reflect what went well, what didn't. And I always start at my mindset. I always start at my energy. Where is it? Let's do a check in. So let me know how you found this. I would love for you to share this on your story. I would love for you to share your biggest takeaways, slide into my DMs. And like I said, at the moment, this is going to be probably 6 episodes. We can do that as like a rough number of things that I've planned out, but I'm really, really excited to speak about business. And like, I feel at this capacity, this beautiful capacity where my business is at and like what I've created and what I've grown and the women that I coach and come into my world. It's absolutely amazing. So I hope you've enjoyed this and I will see you in the second episode for this series. Bye.